Hello everyone, I'm Looby Macnamara and I'm here today with my friend Jon Young, and we've been collaborating on Cultural Emergence for the last 5 years, and so I've invited him to share a bit of the story of that collaboration and how his work with Eight Shields has been part of the Cultural Emergence toolkit and how that's evolved. And yeah, so over to you, Jon, to share about that.
Yeah, thanks, Libby. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I've been working on this model for, gosh, a pretty long time. I guess I started researching it in '79, but in '83, I opened a restaurant, and I was also starting my first project in nature connection mentoring. And I met an elder named Ingwe who came up with this idea we should really organize all of these interesting cultural elements that help people connect according to the directions. He said, because his Irish ancestors had done that, the Dutch colonial houses reflected that, all over Africa the African people had done that, the people in North America had done it. He said it must be something about directionality and organization that is important, otherwise the ancestors wouldn't have done it that way. So I said, well, how are we going to do that? Because we can't borrow it from one culture or another. It needs to be sort of universal. So he said, why don't we just ask kids about the feelings at the different times of day and see what they come up with? And we did that for several years. And then we just started bringing it out to people all over the world. And all these people around the world contributed to refining and refining. We eventually wrote that all up, or as much as we could, and we put it in this book, Coyote's Guide. There's a whole, maybe more than 100 pages in here that gets into the detail about how to construct nature programs using, the model of the archetypes, because sunrise has a feeling, and the feeling is the archetype, and here I am sitting at sunrise right now here in California. And, the feeling is like anything is possible, right? There's just this, it feels pregnant with possibility. And, if you wake up and you don't have a lot of anxiety about your day and you can just enjoy the dawn, then the sunrise can really sort of feel like, wow, it's a brand new thing and I can do anything, that feeling, right? So, and each of them has a feeling like that. But, I started in '83 in this restaurant. One of the interns there was doing the permaculture design course, and she got me all involved in permaculture. And I did some training in permaculture at that time because we had a natural foods restaurant and a garden, and we had all this stuff going on. So from the very beginning, I think I saw the overlap between, the Eight Shields approach and working with people in complex scenarios. I mean, because really a program is that. But there was so much we couldn't put in Coyote's Guide because, it's already 3 pounds. It's a heavy book, and it's already 400 pages plus, and we just ran out of room. But there was always all these questions. What about this? And how can I use it this way? And how can I use it that way? And Luby's work with this book, this lovely Cultural Emergence, there's a whole section in here on Eight Shields and how it applies to design and working with people. And it's in Cultural Emergence. It's actually a really useful resource because a lot of people are like, well, you're the nature connection guy. What does it have to do with Cultural Emergence? Well, it has everything to do with Cultural Emergence. Um, in my estimation, in sort of 40 years of looking at this question, what is culture? What's its job? What's it here to do? It's here to help us connect. It's to connect to each other as a group that belongs, that a culture is a group of belonging where we all are seen, appreciated, valued. And then we know how to contribute, right? And then we have that sense of belonging. And really ultimately, when you're designing for connection, you're designing for cultural emergence. These things are really overlapping. So I think you'll find the cultural emergence, it was such a fun project to work on with you, Libby, and you did such an amazing job of pulling things together, but you shed light on this approach using the archetypes and the directions in ways that I hadn't seen, that I greatly appreciate, that have actually influenced me. So I think anyone who's interested in Eight Shields is going to be very interested in cultural emergence. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, thank you, Jon. It has been lots of fun working with you and evolving and emerging this together. And I was wondering if if you could share any ways that you've benefited yourself from cultural emergence.
Well, there's too many to think of them all, but well, one, the intersection between cultural emergence and the design web, which you also surfaced, which has been extremely helpful to me. It's caused me to be able to get out of ruts. Like you don't even know you're in a rut, really. I mean, this is why it's a rut, because you're so in it, you think everything is normal. But the fresh perspective and the many eyes that come out of a cultural emergence approach lift me out of limiting patterns and cause me to see bigger horizons and cause me to dream bigger, and more creativity flows. And that's been huge. I mean, it's sort of a generalized response, but that's influenced every single thing I've been doing for the last 5 years. So that's what I would say.
Mm. Yeah, lovely. Thank you. And do join our mailing list if you'd like to join some of the courses that John and I run online, and maybe one day we'll be running them again in person together here at Applewood. But in the meantime, we're enjoying our online learning adventures. So do join our mailing list for that. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Libby.